In this video, we're going to share with you how we made $700,000 last financial year. Well, almost.
If you watched last week's video, you'll realize that we fell agonizingly close to our stretch goal.
Gross revenue of $696,237.
In fact, only $4,000 off of that $700,000 target.
And we want to share with you which top 10 categories made us the most revenue in FY 22-23 and what that means for our business going forward.
And before I get into this, I want to explain to you that this data is also available to you within your Seller Hub under your Sales tab. Right down the bottom, there's a breakdown of all the categories that you've sold within the last year. You can customize it to whatever period you want as well. I do want to point out that there is going to be some discrepancies here between different leaf categories because stuff like DVDs is really only one leaf. Whereas the clothing category, there is a lot of subcategories. For example, you're going to have stuff like shirts, pants, and jackets, and all those little subcategories are all broken down by type. So it is going to create some natural discrepancies in this data because clothing is going to have a much wider range of information than just DVDs. And I've tried to collate all the data from all three stores to give you the best indication of what those top 10 categories are for us. Without any further ado, let's get into those categories.
Coming in at number 10, we have the category of action figures, which made us $13,851 revenue. This one surprised me since these guys sell for about 20 bucks a pop, but we have had some really good ones through as well.
Coming in at number 9 is men's jeans. We've sold $14,575 worth of these basic jeans on eBay in the last financial year. We sort of focused on a few hot selling brands in this category: Levi's, Carhartt, Diesel, G-Star, and obviously our favorite, R.M. Williams.
Category number 8 is another clothing category. It's women's jackets, and most of these sales come from Kara's knowledge. We made $15,470 revenue with women's jackets.
Coming in at number 7 is graphic novels. We've had a whole bunch of these come in this year, and we actually sold $16,651 worth of these graphic novels in the last financial year. So this is definitely something we're going to be keeping an eye out for going forward.
Category number 6 is boots. Men's boots, and they made us $22,059 revenue. We tend to favor R.M. Williams, Red Wing, and Doc Martens. To the women's clothing, for the category coming in at number 5, it's women's tops, and this made us a whopping $23,355 revenue.
And we're up to the top 4, and this one surprised me. I probably thought this was going to be a little bit higher in the categories. It is DVDs, and we sold $37,602 worth of DVDs in the last financial year.
We're in top 3 territory, and category number 3 was women's dresses, which made us $43,258 revenue.
And at number 2, this one's kind of an interesting one because I don't know if you remember last week, but we said this. Another big factor to that is all of these classical CDs. So we bought about 8,000 of these brand new sealed CDs from an auction locally over about 4 to 6 months. But what's happened with these is we now have 3,400 CDs listed in our store with a slower sell-through rate. Yes, it's CDs. So CDs made us $48,258 in last financial year, which just blows my mind. I never thought that CDs would be one of our top 10 categories. And it's kind of an interesting one because essentially we have a lot of stock left over from that category, which means we need to clear that stock out. But is it something that we continue to focus on in the future? We're not really sure just yet. And the reason we're not too sure if we're going to continue with CDs is because that was a very unique opportunity. All of those CDs that we had coming through the door were all brand new and sealed and older stock and in a very niche category. So unless we can get our hands on that sort of stock again at a really good price, it's not something that we're going to chase after if it's just a standard type of CD.
What's number 1? What's number 1? Coming in at number 1, it's books. And we sold a whopping $53,471 worth of books last year.
Yeah, crazy, right? I never thought books would be our top selling category for the last financial year. It is a category that we are starting to learn a lot more about, and we're starting to build some contacts in that industry that allow us to continue to grow that. Now, when I say books, we don't aim for low ASP. We've been aiming for higher ASP books above the sort of $30 to $40 mark, and we have sold some pretty crazy books this year. So hopefully that trend continues into this next financial year, and we can hit those goals that we're really aiming for. So I've just spoke spoken about all the items that did really well for us last year, but I'm going to take you on a little bit of a tour around the warehouse in a second and show you the items that we're not going to be picking up going forward, and are probably going to try and remove from the store completely to slightly niche down our store a little bit. And when I say niche down, I don't mean putting all our eggs in one basket, because it'd be very hard for us to scale to $800,000 if we were to do that, but reducing the amount of categories that we actually sell. And I'm just going to pick a couple orders because I am super behind today, so I'll just grab a couple DVDs and show you them as well, and then I'll take you on that little tour. First up was this nice set of Magnum PI, which sold for $120. And we also have this one here, the Back of Beyond, which sold for $39.95. We did have a couple others as well. We did sell the Heart of Dixie for $44.95, and just a Geelong Premiership 2009 DVD set that only went for 19 bucks, but that was from Orange, so I'm glad to clear that one out. All right, let's take this stuff up to the front, and then I will show you guys exactly what we're not going to be selling in the near future. Okay, so there's probably a couple areas that we probably don't need to be doing ongoing. They're just a little bit slow for our liking. They take up a lot of space on the racks, and they're quite difficult to send. So I'm sort of talking about a lot of this sort of crystalware and these homewares and stuff like that, that shipping is quite difficult on these. I know people do make some really good money on this sort of stuff, but it doesn't really suit our business model going forward. The other one that comes to mind is VHS, because VHS is a slow selling category for us. There are some great VHS out there, don't get me wrong, but for us, it's not a priority in the upcoming year.
Also, by the time we bundle up enough VHS to make it worth it, then the shipping gets higher as well, so it's just meh.
And you guys would have noticed in the last video, we were pulling a lot of board games. Now, I'm not saying we're getting out of board games completely, but we are reducing what we actually take in. So we kind of only want to be selling stuff that's over sort of $60 to $70 to make it worth our time, because a lot of that category is slow sell through, and it does take up a lot of space, plus the shipping on it with all these Australia Post rises is also increasing. So this video is about the good and the bad stock that we have taken in over the last year, and how we're going to improve this going forward, because not only do we need to increase our overall turnover, but we are now taking on a staff member next week, so we need to make sure that our stock is turning over really quickly to help pay those bills. I did want to say in relation to this video, these categories are the categories that have been selling really well for us. That doesn't necessarily mean that you guys are going to be able to find the same stuff, get the same stuff at the same price, and it may not even work for you. So I think it's really important to review your own data and work out what's going to work for you going forward in the next financial year. Obviously, not everyone has a big warehouse space like this, so they might not be able to replicate this model. So you guys need to work out what's going to work for you in your circumstances, because it's never going to be the same.
If you're still deciding which categories you'd like to sell in, some things to consider are definitely the sell-through rate. Is that fast-moving, in-demand stock? The return rate, do things get returned a lot? Are you gonna have a lot of refunds to give out? And also, is this easy to ship, and is it expensive to ship?
So I guess what I'm trying to say is find a category that suits you and enjoy what you're selling, because that is a big part of this business. I hope this video has given you a little bit of an insight into the categories that are selling good for us, and maybe those categories can be something that you look into this next financial year.
See you on the next one.